Hey everybody! Today we're going to do a fun video reviewing one of the most recognizable icons from classic 1950s science fiction, Robbie the Robot. Or in this case, our 14-inch Robbie the Robot manufactured by Turner Entertainment. Robbie the Robot made his debut appearance in the 1956 MGM sci-fi movie classic Forbidden Planet with Walter Pidgeon, Anne Francis, and Leslie Nielsen. Robbie was designed by the MGM Art Department and built by the MGM Props Department for the movie. The MGM production designer who is largely credited with perfecting the design of Robbie is a fellow named Robert Kinoshita. Kinoshita also designed another famous robot, the B-9 environmental control robot from Lost in Space. Over the years, Robbie continued to make appearances in popular TV shows, including 3 episodes of The Twilight Zone, an episode of The Addams Family, 2 episodes of Lost in Space, and an episode each of Mork and Mindy and The Love Boat. That's just a sampling of his 40-ish TV and movie appearances over the years. His last appearance, as of this video, was a 2014 episode of The Big Bang Theory. Speaking of The Twilight Zone, the reason Robbie appeared on 3 episodes is because one of the primary filming locations for The Twilight Zone was the MGM studios, and Rod Serling used MGM props extensively. Not only Robbie the Robot, but other props from Forbidden Planet as well. Moving on from some of Robbie's basic history, we bought this Robbie the Robot at Harry's Toys and Collectibles in Norton, Massachusetts for $40. We bought him used and he came without a box or a manual, but he's fully functional. This is what the box would have looked like. I've always been a fan of classic 1950s science fiction, and Robbie the Robot, so when I saw him in the store, I just thought he'd look really cool on my bookshelf. I don't know if I overpaid or not, as I'm not a super knowledgeable toy collector. Everything I know about the valuation of pop culture items like this comes from the show Pawn Stars. I've seen the same product on eBay and Amazon going anywhere from $28 to over $100, so I don't feel like I was ripped off in any way. Plus, I like to support local businesses. Anyway, let's take a look at Turner Entertainment's Robbie the Robot. Before we get started, it might be a good idea to point out the different parts of Robbie the Robot. So since most of the parts are in Robbie's head, we'll just start with that and we'll work our way down. So if you see this little sphere inside the dome at the very top, that is called the dome lamp. Now the 2 little things on to the left and the right of the dome lamp here and here, those are called the gyros. So hypothetically, that's what keeps Robbie straight up on his feet. And these little guys here on the side, these rings, those are called scanner rings. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a couple of little, they almost look like pinball flippers here on this black stripe right across there. Those are called wigwags. And as we move down here, you can see these little fin-like protrusions, 2 going up, 2 going out, and those are called the scanner fins. Right up front here, the little cylindrical features there with the blue on the tip, those are called blaster beams with blue focusing unit. And then down here at the bottom of the helmet, or the bottom of the dome here, you can see these almost like spring-like, clear spring-like. Those are called head coils. And then these little guys up here with the orange little dots there, I think there's like 5 of them there. Those are called the sax valves. And apparently they're called the sax valves because they look like the valves on a saxophone. Pretty interesting stuff. Okay, down here you can see the blue lighted voice tubes. And that's when Robbie speaks, his voice tubes glow, they kind of blink with the voice. So that's that feature there. And then as we move down into the chest plate here, this button here, or this feature over here on the left, that is called the star drive. And the feature on the right is called the Geneva movement device. All right, so we have Robbie up here on the turntable. So why don't we just give him a nice 360 spin here so you can see him from all angles. Now Robbie here is not in perfect condition. We bought him used for $40. We've seen other Robbie the Robots on like eBay and some of the other third-party selling sites from anywhere between about $28 and really into the hundreds, and maybe even more. So he's got a couple of blemishes on him, but nothing too bad. Now, I don't know if I overpaid for this, Robbie. There's no box, no instructions, but he is functional, which we'll demonstrate in a second. Yeah, not being a toy collector or not really much being interested in negotiating prices on different things, I just feel like if I don't feel like I'm getting ripped off, then I feel like I did okay. So there's Robbie's 360. He is all plastic construction, and he does feel a little delicate. I don't think you can be too rough with him, even though he is a toy. Let's do a 360 of Robbie with a close-up on the head area there. You can see those blasters there right near the rings there with the blue tips on there. That's kind of cool as he moves around. I didn't mention it in the parts piece, but the whole glass head thing, that's the dome. So kind of a major piece to leave out. And everything is protected under that dome. And there you can see those blasters from reverse there, the blue little blue dots there. Okay, so let's review some of the mechanics here of the Robbie the Robot toy. And so looking at the back of Robbie, you see here, there's the speaker behind the plastic here with all those holes in it. So that's where the speaker sits. And then there's this sliding switch. Now this sliding switch has two positions. There's a circle, and then there's a vertical line here. So that's just a sliding switch, slides back and forth. If you have it on the circle, then Robbie is just in voice mode. So if you press his action button in the front, which we'll do in a few minutes, he won't move or anything like that. He'll just light up and he'll say some phrases that he's famous for, probably from Forbidden Planet. It'll probably be the limit of it. But then if you slide the switch over into the vertical line, the eye or vertical line position, then when you press the action button on the front, then he'll walk and talk and all that other stuff. Okay, as far as powering Robbie up, he has two battery compartments at the bottom of each foot. So he uses a total of 4 AA batteries, and you put 2 in each foot. So 2 in each foot, total of 4. And then it gets covered by this little covering here. So there's a screw, these little tabs. You've probably seen this a million times, this type of covering here. You put the tabs under and then just tighten the screw down. Don't over tighten. You don't want to break the plastic or anything like that. And there's the other side. So yeah, so that's how you put the batteries in, and then the bottom of the foot also has these little rubber tires on them. And the rubber tires aren't hooked up to anything mechanical. They're really just to help him glide when he is in walking mode. So yeah, just to show you where the batteries go and how to put them in. And one other thing about batteries, especially in toys like this, it's always important to use the right size screwdriver. Whether it's these little toys like this, I'm sure you've done it a million times, whether it's toys like this or holiday ornaments that take batteries and you got those little tiny screws, it's so important to use the right size screwdriver to make sure that you don't strip these screws. Because if these screws get stripped, it's really hard to find replacements, I find. So anyway, just kind of a public service message here as far as using the right screwdriver, the right size screwdriver for the screws in these kind of delicate toys here. Okay, before we get started demonstrating Robbie's voice and mobility abilities, there are a couple other moving parts that we just wanted to make sure you saw here, and that is that the arms can be repositioned and the hands can be rotated. So you can reposition Robbie kind of that way. Now you can't reposition the legs because remember the legs are hooked up to mechanics and you don't want to break those, so don't attempt to reposition the legs. And then when we go to push Robbie's action button to make him speak and to make him move, that is done right here on this panel right here. So there are two kind of buttony or light looking things. Only the gold one here on the right, can be pressed. That's the action button. This one here looks like it can can be pressed, but it's really just a light feature here. To make him speak or to make him move, depending on what mode you're in, you press the gold button there on the right. All right, so let's go see Robbie talk and walk.
Welcome to Al-Pair-4, gentlemen. I am to transport you to the residence. Welcome to Al-Pair-4, gentlemen. I am to transport you to the residence. For your convenience, I am monitored to respond to the name Robbie. For your convenience, I am monitored to respond to the name Robbie. Welcome to Al-Pair-4, gentlemen. I am to transport you to the residence. Welcome to Al-Pair-4, gentlemen. I am to transport you to the residence. For your convenience, I am monitored to respond to the name Robbie.
All right, guys, one other interesting thing here is that, as we mentioned earlier, Robbie was designed for MGM by a fella named Robert Kinoshita. Now, a lot of people were involved in creating Robbie, but he was the one largely credited with perfecting him for the movies. He also designed another famous robot, and he designed the B9 robot for Lost in Space. And I think you'll see some similarities between the two robots. So most notably here, you've got the glass dome on the B9 robot and the glass dome on Robbie. You've got the kind of the earpieces here. You've got the vertical and the horizontal rings on Robbie, and you've got the horizontal and vertical earpieces on the B9 robot, as well as the idea that the brain is kind of inside the dome, kind of like a human head. Other things you'll see that are kind of similar are the voice tubes, where the voice tubes light up as the robot speaks. That's for both robots there. And then you'll also see that the kind of chest plate, kind of lighting system here on both robots. So you can see kind of similarities between them, which kind of gives you a hint that they were designed by the same person. But anyway, something you probably already knew, but if you didn't, well, there you go. As far as this B9 robot goes, this isn't a mechanical collectible or anything valuable by any stretch of the imagination. On a trip to New York City, I happened to see him in one of those I Love New York gift shops that sells camera, luggage, and New York kind of paraphernalia, t-shirts, mugs, and that type of thing. And he was like $20 or something like that. And being a huge Lost in Space fan, there was just no way I wasn't going to buy it. Okay, I think that's going to do it for our detailed look at Turner Entertainment's 14-inch Robbie the Robot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And I think Robbie is pretty much done with us.
I am to transport
Okay,
you
bye-bye.
to the residence.